guys, this is Sunday 1520 with my first Roblox scripting tutorial, super basics. Unfortunately, we probably won't be getting to any actual scripting today because, well, the stuff you're going to learn is going to make it 10 times easier to do it in next video, where you will probably script the entire time and learn a lot. Anyways, since it's super basics, I should probably go over some easy things you probably already know. If you don't know, well, to get into Studio mode where you can actually edit your games and build new games, Roblox Studio, if you don't have the icon already up, you can easily search your programs and files. Roblox Studio 2013, right there. I'm just going to use my shortcut anyway though. Waiting for that to load. Alright, so once it comes up, you will see either a login screen up here, and that's if you're not logged in to anyone, obviously. Right now I'm logged in as Sunday 1520, so that's the icons you get. It'll show you basic templates for when you want to start everything, and recent files, well, that's kind of obvious. Every other program has it. There's a bunch of published projects. If you're just starting out, well, you probably have none, unless you're just doing this for scripting, in which case you may have some. Anyways, might as well start a new base plate, get going on things. So if you click base plate, really all you start off with is a brand new world with one brick that has been stretched out crazy wide to create a base plate, and it has been locked and anchored, which you may or may not know what that means, but I will tell you within this video so you will know. Alright, so, oh yeah, back to the start page. I forgot one thing. If you're logged in, it's always a good thing, especially if you have an account. If you don't have an account, make an account, because if you're not logged in, you will not be able to publish models or games to your account because you're not logged into an account. Pretty obvious, but thought I might point it out. Anyways, here's our new place. So, as I said, base plate's just a gigantic part. So if we look at the base plate, see this symbol means it's a part, and as you may not know what any of these mean, but by looking at the size you can tell it's just some massive part. And yeah, so start out. To move around, you might have seen me doing this already, just turning, looking up, down, wherever. You hold the right click button on your mouse, and that will aim you wherever you want to go. And use the arrow keys to move around after that. Kind of hard to see me moving right now because I have no relevant parts for you to look to, but you can see it somewhat. I'm going around the place. Yeah, so that's how you move. Some people can't figure that out, so always good to say. Alright, so as you can see, I have toolbox, basic objects, my output, my command bar, my explorer, and my property manager all open at once, as well as the toolbars at the top. So everyone else's may not look like this, especially when you start out. You might have the explorer, the property thing, and that's about it. So if you want to get those, just go to view, toolbox objects will be that, basic objects, click it to get that up. Script performance is, I really don't care about script performance, you don't need that. Explorer is where it holds everything that's in your game, so it's always good to have open. Property manager, I'll explain it in a second. Output window, probably the most important thing for debugging and scripting in general, to make sure everything's working, or testing out new things with mathematical equations to see if they work. Yep, and then toolbars, all this stuff at the top. You're going to want all that checked. Alright, so that's that. I guess I'll explain some of it. So, Explorer. This is pretty much just a giant tree of everything in your game. So, if I were to insert a part, or let's just say sparkles, just why not? We'll put sparkles in our base plate. So, we have our workspace, we have the base plate, and inside the base plate is a spherical. So everything is inside the workspace, but the workspace is inside the Explorer, which once we start scripting will be referred to as game, which is always something important to remember. Then we have our property manager here. That'll be best explained by holding down this base plate. So we just got some basic properties that you probably just think of by looking at it. You can name it off. We got its color, so you can just change it to whatever you want. There, we got a red plate, or a really red base plate now. I'm just gonna switch it back. Oh, wrong one. There's that default color. Material, that's kind of irrelevant right now. You don't need to know anything about material. Reflectance, as it says, it's how much it reflects. It's a number from 0 to 1, and 1 is like really reflective. If you put anything above 1, it won't make a difference from 1. So as you can see, 0 doesn't reflect at all. You change it to 1, reflects the sky. As you can see, reflects a lot. You can hardly see the base plate. And you can go 0.5, stuff like that. Kind of, just like that. It's kind of reflective, but put that back to 0 since it's our base plate. Transparency, once again, numbers 0 to 1. It explains how transparent it is, obviously. 0 to 1, as I said, so 0 being not transparent at all. You can't see through it at all. You put it to 1, it's gone. It's completely invisible, but it is still there. It definitely is still there. It's just, you can't see it. Like the other one, 0.5, you can sort of see through it. 0.3, not as much. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Transparency 0. Because it's our base plate, like I said. Name, well, that's obvious. Called the base plate. You can change that if you want. You can just call it, like, whatever we want. There. Now, in the workspace, we have our whatever we want brick. Position, where it is on the map. This stuff, some of these are important. Anchored. If all of your bricks should be anchored in almost every situation, because if it's not anchored, it just falls down into the void. Because like I said, this base plate isn't some actual like magical thing that's always staying here. It is just a huge part. So you always want it anchored. Most bricks, even if the base plate's here and you put a brick above it, if it's not anchored, it'll fall through and it'll just get to the void and disappear. So yeah, have things anchored. Archivable, you don't need to know. Can collide. Pretty much what it says. If it's checked true, well, then you can collide with this brick, so you can stand on top of it, you can run into it, anything like that. You turn it off, well, then it's just like, if you wanted to make a trick wall, you could turn it off, and then you could walk straight through the wall, no problem, whether it's transparent or not. And then you can make trick walls that are completely transparent, but can collide, stuff like that. Always good ideas for games. Locked means you can't select. As you can see, this is checked, so this thing's locked. I can't select it. Nothing comes up. If I unlock it, I can select it. Now you see that hand? That means I can grab it and move it because it's unlocked. So you lock things like the base plate that you don't really want to move, and they're in place and they're probably going to stay there. Last to see, you don't even know right now. Brick. Okay, form factor. I usually just keep that in custom. It'll change automatically to custom once you change it. That doesn't really matter. Friction, shape. So, here, I'll explain this in a second, but let me just explain this quickly, or show you about that quickly. So, now we're in a different part, but we can scroll back down to where we were. Oh, see, not anchored. It's going to fall to the void, so we got to check that off. And it's unlocked, so we can move it, unlike the base plate, can't move it at all. Alright, just thought I'd point that out. Okay, so shape. Right now it's a block, obviously, you can see that. If you want to get, like, other different shapes, you can change it to, like, a ball. There, now you got a sphere. Change it to cylinder, now it's like that. Change it back to block, it'll go symmetric. I'll explain how to resize in a second. Oh, I might get it off. That doesn't matter. Alright, so there's our block. I'm just going to resize this to standard block size. Alright, so that's that. As you can see, I did the size thing. You've seen it on the base plate as well. You can edit the X, Y, and Z axis, just however you want. not all that difficult. Just type in the numbers. Surface inputs, that doesn't really matter right now. This stuff you guys might be interested in, the surface. So as you can see, we can look at the left surface. I'm not sure if this is left or right, but they're both smooth, so it doesn't matter. It's smooth. Unlike, let me go back down there, the top surface, which is studs, so you see it like that. When I'm testing, I usually like to just have smooth bricks, so smooth it out. Now I have a completely smooth brick, and that's just my ideals. So you can do whatever you want. So that's properties for you in the Explorer. Hopefully you get that, because Explorer is beyond important when it comes to scripting. Output. Well, right now we don't really have any scripts, so there is not really anything in there. But when you do write scripts, if you tell it to print something, or if you tell it to print anything, so if you're doing a math equation and then you wanted it to print the answer, it would print the answer in here. Same thing if you have a scripts for your game. If one of them were to error, the error report shows up in here, and I'm sure I'll error in one of the future tutorials, and you'll be able to see that. Really important in debugging. You listen to what it says. I'll teach you how to debug in future tutorials, but this is super basics, so I'll hold off on that for now. Command bar. Well, we can type in just commands in general. It's pretty much just scripting, but single lines of scripting that you want to put into the output bar. It can be used to set certain values to other bricks, but that's more complicated stuff. I'll explain that better in a future tutorial. Basic objects. As you can see, that's where I got my part out. Got my part straight out of this basic objects thing. So we got a bunch of objects in here. We got like parts, corner wedge parts, flags, humanoid, which is what's inside your character and gives it that name on top of its head, how it jumps, stuff like that. So everything's in there. So if you want to insert a part and you don't have one to copy like that one, well, you just search up part. You can grab whatever part you want. You can grab a truss, but I'm just going to stick a single part. Bam. Now we got our part in the game. And it's going to be unanchored. So anchor that. Keep it where it is. And that's basic objects. I'll explain more of these other ones later when you know some scripting, and it'll make a bit more sense. Yeah. Toolbox. Well, it's toolbox. Any like decals or stuff you submitted, I got those from my Thief Tycoon models. I copied that back in the day when I didn't know how to make a Tycoon, but past that now, as you can see. So if you want to get a spawn location, you know, some people want to script their own, or not script their own. Well, technically, I guess you could, but just get your spawn location. You can just grab a neutral one, shove it right where you want. And once you test, it'll spawn right on there. It's just how it works, just what it is. I don't argue with it. Yeah, you can just grab other things. You've probably seen them in building games where you just look at bricks, got all your bricks, skinny ones, fat ones, trusses, everything. Yep, so that's your toolbox. You just grab everything. You can see all the recent things you've used, stuff like that. If by some chance you're stuck on something, like search up, you wanted min commands and you don't know how to script them yet, which you will in this scripting series, because I will teach that eventually. You can just look up in min commands script. Bam, you got a bunch of scripts here. You got person299's min command script. You got Cole's min commands. You can just take one, use it. Not as fun as scripting your own, but if you don't know how, or if you just want to model, well, that works. You can also look up decals and change your sorting things, but that's not that important. So that's the toolbox. And I know this is really boring, guys, but stick with it, because if you don't listen to everything I'm about to say, the next video will probably not make much sense to you when I actually start scripting, probably in the very beginning. So just stick with this. Anyways, where are we? Alright, so up on these buttons on the top here, I'll start explaining some of these. You guys By the end of this video, we'll know everything that is up here, which is pretty much everything in Roblox Studio, so we can start scripting right away. Alright, so new. Open, save, undo. Every word processor, every program in the world has them. I don't need to explain it. You guys are smart enough to know what that is. This stuff you guys don't really need. This is, these are toolbars, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, these are. So, that's checked, so this will be up. That's checked, so, the toolbox will be up, like, basic part, yeah, so all that. These buttons, if you know how to move around with the right clicking and dragging, then you really don't need these, because all they do is just move you around, like pan your view like that, up, down, every which way, you know. I don't use them like ever, so yeah. If you ever make the run button, the pause button, and the stop button, if you ever make a script and you want to test it out and you don't need to actually play, you're just going to watch your bricks move or change colors or whatever you make them do, just hit the play button, scripts will run, you can see if there's any errors in your output, and your bricks will do their thing, whatever you scripted them to do. This click button is just like the basic grab and move around thing. Yeah, it's nothing big. Move on axis. This is probably very important for designing because I use this endlessly. If you have a brick and you want it to be perfect in a certain spot, so you have it like you want it exactly this height and you don't want to change that, well, if you try to move around with this, well, look, you just lost your height, so that kind of sucks. So you can have your perfect height and then you can just move it around on its axis and it won't move any which way except the axis that you grab it, so up, down, whatever way, and that's really helpful for building, not so much anything else, but building. This is another basic building tool. It's the resize thing. So you grab the ball on this side, which is right here, connects to this one, you pull it over, you're just resizing the brick, making it bigger, smaller, whichever way. You can do the same thing up here, up and down. This is just extending bricks, resizing them. This is how the base plate's made pretty much. It's just a brick like this, but then it's just stretched way out. Yeah, that's that. Rotate, well, kind of self-explanatory. You can rotate on different axes and just grab it, rotate it around, make your block whichever way you want. All four of these are, yeah, mostly used for building. Grids. Alright, so not that complicated, but some people seem to get their head wrapped around it. If we're on a one stud grid, I'll practice this resizing because it's easiest to see with, especially with this brick right here. So you see the studs on it, right? One stud grid will move anything by one stud at a time. So if I grab this, I cannot move half a stud. I move until a certain point where one stud disappears and it's not that big. Same with moving it outwards. You can only go one stud at a time, and two studs, blah blah blah. So it's on a one stud grid. Go to a fifth. So now you move by 0.2 or just a fifth of a stud every time. So your minimum is 1/5, so you can go out right there, which is 1/5 of a stud. And if you go out far enough, you get a full stud. And yeah, not that complicated. And then this is grid off completely, so you can move to be however precise you want. As you can see, it just moves freely. Yeah, it can just, it is what it is. You can, and it's not just for resizing. So see, it moves freely like this on like one stud grid where it jumps one stud every time. Anyways, that one's good to just get it on the ground if one stud won't get it there. Collision prevention. Well, if you ever look up how to get one part inside of another part, you'll see a bunch of complicated C-framing videos. Let me back out here a second. You'll see a bunch of complicated scripting for C-frames and stuff. It's not really that complicated, but it's complicated enough. When in reality, turn off collision check. You can go right into another brick. It's just what it does. If you have it on, it pretty much, what it does is it's a tool and it looks for other bricks and other things, so I can't go into it because it's there. So so it blocks you from going into it. If you turn it off, well, you can just put a brick right inside. No big deal at all. Alright, so I'm going to leave that on because you don't want it off a lot of the time, or else you can get some really messed up things. We don't need to know about that. Lock, you guys all remember I was just talking about the properties where anchored, can't collide, and locked. I was talking locked. Once it's locked, you can't grab it. So you can also use this lock tool. You go over it, unlock it. Well, there, now I can use it. Pull it back out, lock it. So it's pretty much just a faster way than going into the property manager. I'm gonna have it. Oops, I'll lock the base plate. Okay, I'm gonna have that unlocked. Anchored. Another property we were just looking at. If I go down, anchored. Remember, if it's not anchored, it won't stay where you put it. It'll just fall down into the void and eventually disappear. So, if per se this part wasn't anchored, well, you just grab the anchor thing, you go over to it, anchor it. Bam! Now it's anchored. I can go back into the this part. I can go back into the property manager, and anchored is now checked, as you can see. These are other ways to change the color. We can just make that red if we felt like it, or we can not make it red. You know, go back to its basic. Kind of boring, but I don't know. It is what it is. And the rest of this stuff, well, yeah, you'll learn that in future videos. I don't need to explain that at the moment. And one last thing before this video ends, and this is the Super Basics video, so you are completely done with this Super Basics, and you will be scripting in a matter of, like, I don't know, I'm gonna guess 5 minutes, but you guys can probably see once this is finally on YouTube how much time is left. I'm just gonna explain a couple of things up here. So, new, open, all this stuff. Every program has it, you get it. Publish projects, well, if you publish it to Roblox, you can open the ones that you've published, unlike the ones that you haven't published or may have published. It's just a more specific open search thing. Save as. Publish to Roblox as. That means you can choose what to call it and stuff like that if it's not already published to Roblox. You can also overwrite other games if you felt like it by using that. And then this is a bunch of random things. As you can see, I have a test place, and once I start scripting, I recommend all of you make a test place, and just messing around in there with scripts, trying to create cool things that you think might be useful in the future. It really tests your scripting abilities, and you'll get a lot better just learning by yourself. So don't just watch the tutorials, actually do what happens, and try to manipulate different things you learn. Yeah, so that's file, edit, undo, you already know all this, cut, copy, paste, every other thing. Then we have the lock, unlock all, that's pretty basic, you probably know. View, as you already seen, you can pull up all the different things you want. The ones that I have up right now, this is what they are, this is what I always have up, it's just what I do, works for me. You guys can screw around with it, you'll figure out what your preferences are eventually. Insert, well, basic objects. If you insert basic objects, then, well, that disappeared. Back. Sort of view type thing. Models, stuff like that. Insert model. Grab a model from your file. Well, you know, right now I don't feel like doing that, so yeah, that's what insert is. Tools. Execute script. Well, exactly what it said, you execute script. Test, this is really important. Play solo is the fastest way to get into testing, but it doesn't run certain events, which you will know about later, like player added and stuff. But in the early tutorials, if you want to test any scripting you've done, play solo will work. Or you can just play it, unless you have things where you need to like touch it with the player. So if you press play solo, it will start a player on this, and you can walk around and do whatever you want. Start server starts like a fake server that only you can join. Like if you're in an online game, there's always servers and you're with other people. This just manipulates it so that it can use every event, and it's almost the exact same as when you're, well, it is the exact same pretty much as when you publish your thing to Roblox. So this tests every little thing, and then once you start the server, you can start a player on the server. Don't need to know this stuff. Take a screenshot. Well, that's always good if you want to get a thumbnail for your picture for your game once you publish it. You can just go take a screenshot and do that later. Video record. Well, you can record video. Not that difficult. That's that. Just the windows up here. So I'm not gonna do anything with this, but say I would insert a script into here. There's a script window. We got all three. We got the place one, which is here, start page, that, and script checked because we were currently on it. And I will delete that for now. Oh yeah, I forgot to delete. I just saw sparkles come across. I don't want my base plate having sparkles. Well, my eyes are glitching, but the sparkles will come when we play it, so I'm going to take that off now. And then help, well, just help. You can mess around with that, but all the help you need will be in these tutorials, so you will know everything. And that is it for the super basics. You now know everything on this screen, and because of that, I will start scripting instantly in that first scripting tutorial, which will be the next one. So like the video, subscribe, go to the next video, you'll learn scripting, you'll start it off, and it'll be good, guys. Yeah, hopefully you learned something. If not, well, at least I've reassured you of everything. Anyways, goodbye.